I believe it's not talked about enough. This guy, Terrence Crawford, is crazy. He's mentally, he's not mentally okay, in a good way. Usyk even said it best, in a interview that you won't see on the mainstream media because Usyk's not the type of guy to run with boxing mainstream news and narratives. So he comes up with his own. That's why Usyk's kind of like a real person, real human being. The thing is, the way he described it was, listen, Canelo's very skilled, high level boxer. And this, we're not dismissing how dangerous Canelo is. Usyk gave this fight to Terrence because of how mentally, mentally focused he is on the sport and how like crazy he is about the sport. You know, explaining how he's a switch hitter, very high, very skillful, very smart. Because boxing is about how smart you are, not about the grit, the the tenacity. Those are part of the things in the game of boxing. Boxing really is about a man sorting out problems, and the problem is manifested within another human vessel, and you gotta box your way out. So I believe, him taking this fight against Canelo Alvarez, risking his undefeated record, his pound for pound, you would say, status against another pound for pound Canelo Alvarez. It's crazy. You gotta be mentally ill, and athletes have to challenge themselves every once in a while so they can see where they're at in their craft, who they are in their craft. Certain moments break or make athletes, and I believe this is one of them. Terrence Crawford. You know, his promotions have done him dirty with the number of matchups he's had. He doesn't have a lot of legacy fights. Errol Spence was one where, for me, Errol Spence wasn't in the best condition physically or mentally going into that fight. You know, guy survived a car accident crash, and he had multiple injuries leading up to the fight. So I cannot say that fight you got the best Terrence Crawford. That was him at his prime. This is him, a bit older, a little bit seasoned, but you're still gonna get the best because he's very smart. My opinion is he's gotta knock him out in those first few rounds. The first 7 rounds, he's gotta try and knock him out because Canelo tends to get better over time. Over the few rounds, he just gets better. One of those fighters. I'm also kind of one of those fighters in a way. I adapt the longer the rounds go. That's why I like sparring for 5 rounds. Sometimes I spar for 3 rounds. Because in MMA, if you do 3 rounds, even in the amateurs right now, as an amateur boxer, you got to spar 3 rounds. So I'm just conditioning my body for 3 rounds, but I know I can go more, and I can get better at going more. Most rounds I've done is 18 rounds. I'm not a firm believer in sparring 20 rounds, getting your head busted. Even even if it's light sparring, I believe it should be short, technical, and precise. If I hit hard, you hit hard. That's sort of a thing. Then we adapt, sort of like a real fight. We're not going light, not going hard. We're just going with the flow. At least that's it for me. Some gyms are different. But coming back to the point of Terrence Crawford being crazy, I think he's a nutcase doing what he's doing against Canelo Alvarez, who has fought Triple G, Floyd Mayweather, Dimitri Pivot at their prime. And I'm mentioning those three fighters because those are highly skilled fighters he's fought. Everybody else they're very good, but we're talking about the elite. You only lost to Dimitri Pivot and Floyd Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? Maybe to Triple G in that first fight, that first trilogy fight. But they gave it a draw. But I believe that first fight, that was Triple G. This motherfucker is crazy, people. But who you got winning this fight? Let me know in the comments.